Hey everyone, this is Cameron. Welcome to the channel. This is a quick video comparing Cinestill at box speed versus Cinestill pushed 3 stops during a portrait shoot that I had recently. So just to get into it, my friend Amanda was helping out with makeup. She's a wonderful makeup artist. I'll link all of her stuff below, as well as Elle, who is a model signed with the same agency that I am in Pittsburgh. We're here at Premier Imaging getting our hair and makeup done. The inspiration behind this shoot, Amanda had come up with herself, sort of a Euphoria style edit, as that's sort of what everyone is talking about in popular culture right now. So we have sort of a light blue look going on. The eyes, which I think really pulls out the color in Elle's eyes and matches her hair pretty well. I'm in the back studio at Premier Imaging, and right now I'm kind of getting set up. I brought my digital camera, which is Sony A7 II, as well as some film cameras. I think I ended up using exclusively the Bronica. So I have a Bronica SQA, which is 6x6 medium format, and then I used a few shots with the Intrepid 4x5 camera in black, but I don't show them here because I wanted to focus strictly on the Cinestill. So in putting this together, my theory behind shooting Cinestill at box and pushed 3 stops was that I think it'd be interesting to see the differences in color saturation, contrast. I know people typically do this in landscapes or street or some other form of photography, but this style of video is rarely done in portraiture because normally you like to find a lighting setup you like and then keep it. And not change it over the course of the shoot, but I did pretty much the first half of the shoot with one look, and then changed the look slightly and the lighting pretty drastically to give a very unique second look. So the first look that we're going to cover in this video is actually the one where I push Cinestill 3 stops. Now, in pushing Cinestill 3 stops, pushing, for those who aren't familiar with it, you're welcome to Google and look it up on YouTube, but you're pretty much exposing the film at a higher anticipated film sensitivity. Now 800T is supposedly the Kodak Vision 500T line with the ramjet halation layer removed. So usually I rate it at 500 instead of 800, so 500 to 1000 would be 1 stop, 1000 to 2000 would be 2 stops, and then 2000 to 4000 would be 3 stops. So going through that process of setting up my anticipated ISO and all the lighting we have here, I didn't have too many issues setting it up. Actually, I was anticipating having a lot more blown out highlights. Usually my workflow, unless I only have a light meter, is to shoot a few frames of digital just to check things out and see how they look. And here you're seeing the final results of Amanda's wonderful makeup job she did and her hair. So I have a projector lined up, and the projector is showing like a repeating animation or GIF of sort of a Milky Way galaxy-esque photo. And then the positive fill that I have actually comes from a Berkey, I think it's Berkey or Berkeley Colortran old tungsten studio light. So it's quite warm, but the color tone is definitely in the tungsten spectrum. So that gives a positive fill, and my reason for doing that was sometimes in color correcting scans getting back from a lab, it can be difficult if the skin tones aren't natural. So say you lit a subject from the right and the left with maybe blue and purple, and it's hard to white balance that and sort of see. Of course you can do that yourself in post, but for the lab I try and make it as easy as possible. So I have the skin tones being a natural color. Using a tungsten light, those skin tones will come out natural with Cinestill 800T, and I think that'll turn out really, really nice whenever you see the images later in this video. So first lighting setup is on the right. We have the moving projector. I have a fill And then on the left with the blue background, you'll see this is the lighting setup I used with box speed Cinestill. Now, in setting things up, again, I got the projector rolling. I shot all of this with my Bronica. I used a variety of lenses. I have 3 for that body, so I have a 50mm, which is a wide angle, the 80mm standard, and then the 150mm, which I would consider to be a portrait lens. To get in tighter for some of these, I actually dug around on eBay and found the S18 extension tube adapter, so that allows you to bring the focal plane that you can focus to, I wouldn't say to a macro level, but a lot closer than the natural limitations of the lenses are. I think this is most drastic and most noticed with the 150mm because you're pretty much stuck 5 or 6 feet away without the extension tube, and then in getting the extension tube you can really come close and get some really tight results. So here, the pink I have coming in from the left, it's from an RGB LED panel. Nothing special about the one I have. You can just program where it shows up on the red, green, and blue color spectrum. The first shots here are all fairly tight. I was impressed with how much color I got out of these pushed negatives, given that again, I was worried that I would either blow out a color or blow out highlights. They are a smidge underexposed in shadows, and that probably could have been remedied by me bringing either a V-flat in or a board to sort of arc and shape the light to lose less of it and reflect it back towards my subject here. So overall, pretty happy with how these came out. You have the red, green, blue sort of all popping out here in the color spectrum. Here's a wider shot. This was the 80mm, and then I believe the 50mm as well will be up soon. The nitpicky thing that I noticed that I didn't love about the portraits, which was totally my fault, was you can kind of see the green fluorescent lights in the background. They kind of give a strange color cast. And when you're shooting at such a high ISO, you'll pick up any sort of input light that's polluting the scene, and that can really add to the final image in a way that you may not expect. Here it's super subtle, so I could definitely correct it in post, but I wasn't too worried about it. So the second look here, we swapped wardrobes. Elle brought a nice vintage leather jacket that she had thrifted, and this one was shot at box, or box for me is I'm shooting this at 500 pretty much. And again, a few test shots on digital to make sure that everything looks great. Again, I know some people are very gatekeepy about needing to use light meters and not using digital anywhere in the process, but I think my best workflow is typically one that merges those two approaches. So these shots, again, love them. They're a little bit less saturated, which is to be expected because they're processed at box speed instead of being pushed so many times. I really love how they turned out. The color, the blues look awesome. Now, this is where Cinestill 800T really shines because we're using tungsten light and I'm really blasting her with it. You get that same look of how sort of portrait emerges whenever you hit it with really strong, like warm light or blue light. You have those colors just sort of pop. And using the tungsten balance film with the tungsten balance light, you really get the best out of the color that's possible with this film stock. So really happy with the results here. I was expecting more halation around the highlights, but the film handled it really, really well. And you can see the red glow a little bit on the edges of her jacket in a few of these shots, but I think it adds to that sort of vintage look, and it doesn't distract from anything because it's not near her face. I think it all turned out pretty good. So overall, I think the experience shooting both went quite well. The next thing I have that's going to pop up is a comparison of the grain between the two film stocks. So Few different notes here. So grain comparison on the left, we have the box speed film, and on the right we have the film pushed 3 stops. Obviously the pushed film is going to have more grain than the box speed film. Additionally, Cinestill 800T is already a high speed film, so they're already going to have more grain than traditional lower speed films, say like an FP4, a Pan F, Portra 160, whatever it may be. Given that, I'm very happy with how the box speed looks, and even happy with the pushed look of 800T push 3 stops. Overall, the medium format really works well. I think in this situation, I'm not sure I would be as happy with the results had I shot 35mm. I think 35mm at box speed would be fine. The 35mm pushed 3 stops would be a little bit too grainy for my tastes. But again, that's up to personal preference and really what you're looking for out of a shoot and out of an aesthetic that you're going for, because that's why we shoot film in general. Overall, I think my lab did a really great job. I work exclusively through Reform Film Lab for any of my editorial work, or work with agency models for test shoots. Reform Film Lab is like super reliable. I've developed a great relationship with Mike, the guy who runs the place, and I am able to get scanned TIFFs that are uncompressed from their Niritsu scanners, which is really nice because it gives me a ton of creative freedom on the back end to be able to shape the light, shape the color, and then also correct any errors that I may have made on the front end when shooting, because there's so much depth to the files, rather than having to wait until getting the JPEGs back and then having to worry and trying to color correct after things have been compressed. So I really want to know, what do you prefer? Comment below if you have any questions about any of the gear I used here. I'm welcome to answer them. Here on the right we have L kind of moving through a few different looks. I recorded some videos. I'm trying to be better about recording videos for reels. This was with a screw-on Prism Lens Effects filter. I tried to warp stabilize it, but there's only so much you can do. Next time I'll shoot on a tripod. Comment your favorite pictures below. If you have any questions, if this inspired you to do shoot of your own, let me know. Other than that, have a great day.